What's up, guys? It's your host here, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Left Part 20. Now there's probably about 2 or 3 more parts of this series, so be prepared for it to end, but I have a lot of things coming after it. And yes, when new chapters come out, I will continue to read the story, just FYI. I really enjoy the story, so I will keep reading it, obviously. Shout out to that boy Skim Reader, he's a G. So, if at all possible, can we hit 400 to 500 likes for this video? And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing. We officially just reacted to High School DxD episode 2 up on my Patreon, so you guys once again should join that and become a balance breaker, because, you know, that's how you become a cool person. And that reminds me, without further ado, thank my balance breakers: Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchout, Nan Ammo, Refeek135, Unsainted Tiger, Ryan Monk, Keep Saying 21, Undefined Truth, VR Wolf, Dark Phoenix, Zeki2000, Shen Byun, Chaotic Raven, Mazaku, Dr_MLG_ is the bomb, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Ryuga, Responder, Rob the King, Zero Fusion, and Notatrax. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into it, we are pushing 40,000 subscribers on Spartanic Arts DxD. We just hit 40,000 followers over on TikTok, and we are 8,000 subs away from 70k on Aunt Popowski, and I just wanted to say that because it sounds stupid. But thank you so much for all the support on all of my channels. I'm sure some of you have came over here and went over there. Thanks for the support. I really do appreciate it. And without further ado, shout out to my Patreon members. Now, thank you so much to my Patreon members: Justin Branovich, Ryuga, Lachlan Yates, the Black Dragon Emperor, Brendan Dossett, Stripelanger, Mark Bacon, Sharklock, and Jay Dawson. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. I really do appreciate it. Thanks a ton. Once again, we'll react to tons of stuff over there. It's pretty fun. So yeah, thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. Now, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into part 20. We're right in the middle of chapter 23, where they were talking about their grandparents, and we're about to pick up with Invigold saying, "I'm sorry to hear." So yeah, let's go ahead and get into that. Invigold says, "I'm sorry to hear that." Yeah, Issei starts. "Yeah, I realized how much they didn't care about 17 years too late. I had a feeling my grandma would have adopted me if she could. Actually, Yamamoto is her maiden name, so that's where the name comes from. Anyway, my stupid perversion looped me into the supernatural. Got killed by my first girlfriend, died again defending someone who didn't understand feelings, and nearly killed a third time by a plethora of females because I got a harem. But it felt like a lie when things get thrown in your face." "What happened?" Imagol said. "Well, my so-called friends decided to sleep with my so-called harem. Actually, it was the harem that seeked them out. Made me wonder if they ever really loved me. You don't know this, but I was in a coma before I took an attack that was meant for someone else. Someone like you. His name was Volley Lucifer." Hearing that name made Invigold gasp in shock, as she thought she was the only one. It made sense based on what Issei said earlier about dealing with people like her. Hurt. Man, it hurt like hell, and I entrusted him to look out for my girls, my loved ones. Well, he certainly took care of them by taking them to his bed, my bed, and smashing them in it, as he clenched his fist, which Invigold grabbed to calm him down. Not just him, but the guys that I met throughout my time in the supernatural world. They also did it with them. I discovered that a few were cheating on me. Oh, and my friend Irina, she was a part of it as well. She came back for a mission." "Then she wasn't a good friend," Invigold says. "No, but she was now with my grandmother. My grandmother loved both of us as her grandchildren, and let me tell you, before meeting you, I was royally pissed with Irina. She was my first friend. However, I found that by overcoming my anger, I could go as far as a person. That was thanks to my grandma," Issei said. "Maybe she is guilty, and your grandmother is helping her to overcome her guilt like she did for you in your anger. You seem like you're becoming a better person. Maybe Irina will become one too." "So, that is 2 people that your grandma has helped in their darkest times," Invigold said. "Maybe. I just suck. I wondered why they cheat. I thought it was perversion, but I never really asked them to do anything perverted. They just did it. For example, the so-called leader of my former harem just slept naked. Then others started to do it. So please don't try to do it, Ingold." Okay, Ingold says, though she had a blush on her face about the prospects, but if Issei didn't like it, she would listen. The first one to copy Rias. The former leader was Azia. She was soft-hearted like you are, but Gold. I risked my life for her, and this is what she did to me. Remember my ex-girlfriend that killed me? Well, she was a fallen angel and killed Azia too, but I begged Rias to revive her. To make matters worse because of my trauma with Rainier, she's the ex-girlfriend Azia and the one that said they would never hurt me like Rainier did, and she was right. They didn't hurt me like Rainier did. They did worse by cheating on me and blatantly doing so, which the Hyoudou agreed to hide their activities from me so I would never know. However, being a dragon, thanks to my senses, I picked up on what they were doing. I already caught volley with some of them, Issei finished. I'm sorry to hear that, Issei-san, uncurling her fist and holding his hand. It's fine. I mean now at least. Though I think I spooked you when I meant you no harm. It was because you reminded me of Azia, and I was having flashes to her betrayal, Issei says. I'm sorry that I made you relive it, Invigolder says. She had her own tears silently streaming down her face. No, don't me. I had to remind myself that you're not her, Issei says. I will never be like her, Invigolder replied with as much conviction in her voice that she could muster. Something tells me that you won't, as he let out a slight chuckle. Anyways, after I was told that I would never get by them, I fought Rias' cousin, Syra Ork-Biel, where I proclaimed my love for her in front of the underworld and the other deities that were in attendance. I won that fight, and I was rewarded by taking a promotion test to become middle-class demon. Around then, the underworld was attacked and I chased the dragon goddess named Orphis. She also betrayed me. She slept with Vali. It was that I died a second time by killing Shalba Beelzebub. Yeah, another descendant of the original Mao like you. I guess you can understand why I was a bit wary of you. Issei said. No, I understand. Did you meet anyone from my clan, Vigil says? Yeah, her name was Katria. But I didn't fight her, and she never displayed your prowess of water manipulation. She killed herself with a self-destruct spell. She tried to take Azazel, who was my second father figure, but she failed. But I kind of wish she succeeded, Issei said. You said was. He also betrayed you too, Invigold replied. Oh yeah, caught him in action. He even mocked me for not claiming them. When she should know the ordeal that I went through because of his faction, because Rainier was his subordinate. But anyway, I killed Shalba. I was dying from Samuel's poison. The other souls of the boosted gear gave themselves up so that I could live. Thus Great Red and Orphis worked together at Draig's request to save me, and I got this new dragon body. Great Red, Invigold says, the other dragon god, or the dragon of dragons. He has a delinquent attitude, but he's pretty cool. They resurrected me and helped me defend the underworld, Issei said. But you're not full dragon, Invigold replied. Yeah. After I was betrayed, Ddraig helped me with a ritual that set the boosted gear into a sleep mode and turned my body to that of a human. I've been training to get my dragon back, and then I can go to see my loved ones once again, Issei says. Not everyone betrayed you, Invigold says. No, not everyone. Issei smiled. The new Maos have my back, and it's kind of interesting that I met you. When I'm engaged to the new Mao Leviathan, you may like her. Sarah-chan is from the Sea-Tree clan, who can specialize in using water magic, but she elevated hers to ice magic. She is currently the strongest woman in the underworld. The second would probably go to my big sister, Graphia. She's Serzex's wife. Serzex is the new Mao Lucifer. He's more on a path of pacifism compared to the old Mao ways. That's nice. I never liked the old Mao anyways. I believe that is why my parents moved to the seaside where I grew up. Invigold says, oh, then you would get along with the Maos? Plus, I can vouch for you, Issei said. Really? Invigold replied. Yeah, I still have people that care about me, so I got to get stronger for them, but also for me, Issei says. I would like to get stronger, Invigold replied. That's why I said we can help each other since it's getting late here. We can focus on your hand-to-hand combat tomorrow, Issei said, relaxing on the field near the stream. Really? Invigold replied. Yeah, you're my friend, Invigold, so I want to help you out as my friend. Call me Issei, Issei said. Issei? Invigold says. Yeah, Issei replied. Well, I am sorry that happened to you, Issei-san. Thanks. The pain is still there, but I'm working on it. You know, I feel like I suck at romance, when it's all I ever wanted. Even with wanting a harem, I just wanted to be surrounded by people that loved me. My ex-girlfriend said that no one would love a pervert like me. I thought that wasn't true with Rias and the others, but I was wrong. Since they cheated on me, that's not love. Even though Sarah-chan said I could have a harem. I am a little afraid, though. I would still like to also like that male commiserate as well. Reform my family, Issei said. Reform your family? Invigil says, yeah. I lost people, but I still have people. I mean, Sarah-chan told me to meet new people while I'm training out here, and I met you. Maybe there are others. I just need to find them, Issei says. Well, I want to live this age with you, Invigil says. I'd like that, Issei replied, smiling at her as she returned. Her tears had dried up as they both looked at the sky, enjoying each other's silence. Hey, Invigil, can you sing for me? I don't know why, but hearing you sing these past days while here has been comforting, closing his eyes to listen to her. Okay, she quickly looked at him and then looked at the sky of something or someone that gave her the lyrics to sing. She cleared her throat and sang. I'm not singing, okay? So if you think that's going to happen again, it won't. Okay, well, I'm going to do it. I'm not actually singing. I'm just going to read it. Make my wish come true, like the darkness slip aside, hiding all of our hope, mocking what we treasure. Battles we can win, if we believe our souls. Hang into the light till dawn. Fate will not leave you. Hate will not heal you. Pray, and one day peace shall flow everywhere. Fate will not leave you. Hate will not heal you. Pray, and one day peace shall flow everywhere. As Invigil sung, the lavender light particles emerged around her, and for Issei, the warm embrace of the slumber took him. He felt like he was falling, but he felt no wind rushing in his face. Suddenly he stopped, and he felt like he was floating. It was like he felt like he was in space. Whoa, this is just like the dimensional gap, Issei said. You would be correct, hatchling, the mysterious figure said. Issei took back around to the giant mass of red and gold horn. It didn't take him long to realize that he was facing Great Red. Great Red! Oh, that's right, we need to talk. You said a couple of days ago, Issei said. You would be correct. So tell me, what happened with this change of yours? Great Red said. Well, you see, as Issei gave Great Red the rundown of the betrayal, the ritual he had to do, explaining why Ddraig is sleeping, and what he chose to do. How interesting. So what do you intend to do? Great Red says. To be honest, nothing. I'll let the factions handle it. It's not really my problem right now. I'm going to focus on me, Issei says. Guess that explains why some dreams show sadness regarding you. It's what piqued my interest to seek you out. But I could not find you, Great Red said. Really? Issei replied. Considering how your body resonates as mostly human, due to the ritual you putting on a reset, I could not find you. I could not set Orpheus's presence, so I had to seek my own. Guess you were slowly awakening your dragon body again, Great Red said. Yeah, due to the ritual, I expelled Orpheus's power from me, and Ddraig used his as a replacement. His power will integrate with my own, along with the other powers that you have obtained, such as the Blade Ascalon, and the power of the Hurakaku that you stole, Great Red said. That's what Ddraig said as well, Issei replied. Good, because you'll need it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I have seen some not-so-pleasant dreams. A new threat is coming, Great Red said. What? Then I have to go back to where the war in the factions, Issei said. No, they already know, or at least they are aware, Great Red says. But why didn't they tell me, Issei replied. Because you would do what you're about to do, be reckless and get into a fight that you have not trained for. You may have matured a little, but you're still the same hatchling. Have faith in your allies, and train yourself so you can use your powers to the fullest. You will need to awaken Ddraig. You need him for this fight, Great Red says. I understand. He felt helpless despite that he was getting stronger. He felt like he was not a full-fledged dragon, nor did he have Ddraig. It was just meant that enemies are stronger than he realized, much stronger than the exorcist he killed. How interesting. I did not realize this. But you won't be a full-fledged dragon, but rather a hybrid, Great Red said. A hybrid, but of what? Well, a hybrid of dragons. You will mostly be a true dragon thanks to my flesh, but also that of an evil dragon, Great Red said. But I was supposed to be cured of any traces of an evil dragon thanks to the ritual, Issei said. That may be true. If you didn't kill one at all, and had obtained its essence, which is also merging with you, Great Red said. Killed one, but I didn't. He stopped as his eyes widened. Apophysis. The Eclipse Dragon. His power would be useful for you, the Dark Field Barrier, while he used primal water. The prime aspect of the technique is merging with your fire, Great Red said. I remember that technique. It was capable of nullifying the effects of Phoenix Tears, Issei said. It would be useful in degrading any regeneration techniques of your enemies, Great Red said. Wow, I didn't think his essence would remain in me. Before he died, he told me to come back and fight him one day. He had more honor than I'd give an evil dragon credit for. Definitely more honor than Vali. Speaking of which, wouldn't the possibility of the essence of Azidaka? It's a possibility, though it seems his communication with Albion is practically severed. Albion doesn't talk with him and feels dishonored that Vali stooped so low for a fight, Great Red said. A fight? He those so he could have a fight instead of just asking me? Man, Apophysis was right. A battle with no honor is the lowest of low. I know he was referring to Rizavim at the time, but Vali has become delusional to become the one thing that he hated. You know what? He just wanted to cuck me because he couldn't beat me. He had the advantage in our first meeting, but after that, he slipped and I caught up. And he's no longer in the race. He probably thinks round 1 goes to him. He lost the moment he slept with them because he didn't have the balls to face me by himself. Only thing he'll win is an STD snorting at Vali's incompetence. Besides, from the time he went with those bitches to his apartment, and when they returned to the Hyoudous, it was only an hour or 2 at best. I went all night with the Mao, so I can go longer in bed than he can. They chose a 2-pump chump. You are correct, Great Red said. It's what separates the demon from the dragon, and he is just a demon. Just like his ancestors, he has no honor. Do you know he already had a maid who allowed this to happen? She wanted to see what type of woman you would get attached to. I looked into her dreams, Great Red said. Well, she did show me. Rias was the one that brought Vali into my room and claimed that I would do the same to her. If the roles were reversed, if I'm being honest, I only look at the girls, but I wouldn't blatantly cheat like she did. Her parents were distraught because of how they spoiled her, and her attitude trickled down to the rest of them, thinking they could do whatever they want, Issei says. So have you decided to seek revenge? Did you use the curse? Would you sleep with Vali's woman if given the chance? Great Red said. At this point, no. It's not worth my time, and I wouldn't stoop so low to their levels. I'm not sleeping with Tsubaki, nor Valerie, Sona, Momo, Rukiko, and so forth just because they slept with my former girls. It's not worth it to me. I walked away while it may seem cowardly, but it gave me time to focus on myself. I was always doing something for somebody, putting others ahead of myself. Now I can just focus on myself, meet new people along the way, though I may not open up so easily. You opened up pretty well to that girl who was snuggling up to you, Great Red said. Snuggling up to? Oh, Anvigold, yes. I guess I did. But she also had some trust issues of her own, so we're like 2 broken people that found each other, Issei said. And there are others that are broken, not to the extent of you, but broken. I have seen your dreams. You want to reform yourself, but also your broken family and reform a new one. There are people that will fit well to you, both male and female. Those you can call friends when you explain your truths to them. Same those that can be your new lovers. Lovers? Did you say that I would have a male and female lovers? Issei said. Ddraig was right about you. You are a funny one, hatchling. Unless you swing that way, you could have male lovers, but no. You would have male Karami, other than with the leaders. As for the females, well, you'll have some good options. One is already with you. You already mated with another. Others are scattered about, but in time they will come to you. As a bonus, they are stronger than your former ones, though a few of your former lovers have the potential to be stronger. It all depends on the path they take moving forward. I'd say a couple of them are making that climb, Great Red says. So you're telling me that I can end up reuniting with my former lovers after betraying me like they did? That depends on you. But not likely as you did the ritual. But it appears that some bonds are harder to break than others. But it is not likely to me that you will hop into bed with them. Well, maybe if you're in heat, Great Red says. In heat? Issei replies. You are becoming a dragon again. You had the momentary lapse of it when you went to bed with your first mate, Great Red says. First mate? Oh, you mean Seraphal, Issei replied. Yes, because you are more of a dragon than your former friends. Let's say your prowess in the bedroom is on a different level. Not surprising why a harem is needed for a dragon, Great Red said. It made Issei blush as Seraphal told him something similar. Of course, mentioning that she would like to use her legs the next day. But no matter, you were able to get your urges out, so you should be able to control yourself in the sack. You will be capable of satisfying your partner or partners regardless, Great Red said. I see, Issei replied. I suppose you wouldn't want me striking down Orphis if she were to appear in the dimensional gap, since you don't want revenge, Great Red says. It would be too much a hassle for you. Besides, either she gets hit by the fall herself, or she reduces whatever emotion she thought she had learned. Either way, she will wallow in despair for eternity. So let it just go. It's not our problem. I'm going to live my life and not worry about theirs. My grandmother did tell me that at some point I will confront them, but that's not right now. Just let the chips fall where they may, Issei says. Very well. I knew I liked you, hatchling. You stay true to yourself. A pity that the Oppai Dragon is no more. I look forward to seeing you rise. Maybe you will become a dragon god one day, Great Red says. Nah, I just want to be me. In time, we'll see. By the way, how's Lilith-chan, Issei said. Who? Great Red said replied. The one that looks like Orphis, but her hair is in a ponytail, and instead of dull gray eyes, Lilith-chan has brown eyes. The one that you would literally took off as means of not her leading another terrorist organization. He literally deadpanned at that. Oh yeah, about that. She left, Great Red said. She left or you lost her? Issei said. No, she left. She got too bored and just left, Great Red said. Why didn't you stop her? She would likely seek out Orphis or me, Issei said. Good thing she went looking for you first, then. She's currently with the Foxes. The Foxes? Oh, Yakuza-san and Koa-chan? That's good. Why is she there? Issei said. Currently trying to be an artist, he chuckled. As long as she's okay, I mean, hopefully they keep her busy. But how did she get there? Your mate took her there. Oh, wow. At least she's with Sarah-chan. Is there anything else you want to talk about? No, you seem to be doing well, but I should tell you that when you confront those who hurt you, you listen to the full story. Some reasons may be silly and stupid. Some may be understandable. It all depends on your perspective, Great Red says. I'll keep that in mind. But the focus is awakening Ddraig. If there's a new threat out there, Issei said. Ah, yes. Using more of your draconic energy, it may help with accelerating your body's dragon recovery. Got it. Oh, and I got my trait. It's desolation. Desolation. A state of complete destruction of emptiness, Great Red said. Destruction, huh? Guess it makes sense in those images that I saw during my test and how I felt for what they did to me, Issei said. Something else is inside you. You will need its power for what's to come ahead. Powers that were once extinct will resurface, and you must prepare to face them. I wish you the best, Issei Yamamoto, Great Red said. Hey, I never told you about the name change. I can see your dreams of the past, future, present. My only regret was not looking into the dreams of those that hurt you, so I could prevent you from what you have endured. That is where I failed you, hatchling. I will have to cut our time short. You got a dragon to wake up. He blew a huff of smoke from his maw that clouded Issei, and he gasped himself awake. As Issei took gaps of air, he found that he was still outside, and he sat with Invigold. Speaking of the girl, Issei realized that she didn't leave his side, and left his bicep, which engulfed her breast. While and her head rested on her shoulder, he was lucky that she remained asleep. When he woke up, he shifted slightly. He felt her grip around his arm tightened. He decided to relax and let out a sigh, and when he did, he felt her grip loosen. It made him chuckle that she did this subconsciously. It did remind him that Ozia did something similar, though he remembered that there was no influence of Rias that could turn Invigold against him. He decided to start wiggling his arm, which prompted Invigold to once again tighten her hold. It also gave Issei a good feel of her breast. Invigold, you've got to wake up, Issei says, nudging her head with his shoulder. She looked at a small moan as she began to wake up. Blinking her eyes open, she lifted her head and looked around. Warning Invigold, from her reaction, it seemed that she forgot where she was and shook a little at the sound of his voice. "Oh, Issei-san, good morning," Invigold says. "Well, we got some training to do," Issei replied. "Oh," Invigold said. She wasn't exactly keen on training. "Come on, it'll be fun. Plus, I could teach you some hunting stuff. I got to head out next week or the week outside of the world for my finals. If I had to deduce, it's probably been a couple of days out there, since it's been about a little more than a week for us." "Okay," Invigold says, "so let's get to it. We can both get stronger together." As she stood up from the ground and held out his hand to her, Issei said, "Right," taking his hand as he helped off the ground, Invigold did. They both stretched as they headed back to Drake's home to cape for the rest of the day. "First thing, we gotta get up the weapon that you're comfortable with. For me, it's double-edged broadswords or daggers, because it's what I am familiar with. The sword is because of my training with Ascalon and Arondite. The daggers are because my mentor Tanin gave them to me, so I decided to train in how effectively to use them," Issei said. "Really? What do you think your weapon could be?" "My weapon could be," Invigold says. You could be sneaky, so maybe daggers could work for you, too. But it should be something that suits your magic. So your water element. So maybe the staff or possibly a Najide like Tsubaki-san." "Tsubaki-san?" Invigold says. "Oh, yeah. She's currently the vice student council president. She's strict like the president." "Oh man, I hope she can handle the situation since Kiba was involved," Issei said. Do you think that you can state the names of everyone that you know? I know you told me your story, but didn't give all the names, so it's hard to know who betrayed you and who didn't." Invigold says, "That's true, and as a bonus, I think I may have a group picture of somewhere on my phone, so I can name it to a face," Issei said. "That would be helpful," Invigold replied, as the two walked back to the cave, talking about other things and planning on their training schedules. Now, we're transferring to Ko Academy, so scene change, we're in Ko now. It is now about midweek, and things in the school have changed. Well, at least for some people. In the student council, Sona was actually chill. She had no paperwork to worry about, thanks to Tsubaki, or rather thanks to Irina, who Tsubaki made among them other things in the school. Sona had also taken her finals week in advance. So, while other students were cramming during this week, she had nothing to worry about now. She is the laid back in her soon-to-be former chair, even had her legs kicked up on the desk. "Who knew that an audio could do several people?" Sona said, lifting her arms behind her head and exhaled. She felt so relaxed. Unless Ria stormed into her office for the third time this week about damages done to her precious RC building, it was either that or learning of the most precautious students who had sex in there. It took all of Sona's composure to not laugh when Ria said how a pair of students had the audacity to ask her to join them of one of the graffiti on the door. Some students have even actually harassed the girls, trying to cup a feel of the breasts of their butts. Akano had the misfortune yesterday of having her school blouse ripped open when a student tripped, and even worse was that Akano wasn't wearing a bra that day, so those in the hallways at the fight had fapping material. It was kind of hypocritical how perverted the male students could, and they criticized Issei in the past. The females just basically ignored them, or gave them some side remarks. It infuriated Rias that she had to try and erase a good portion of students' minds, of course. Sona scolded her for this because accidents happen in the school. Sona even threatened to inform the Gremory clan of this, which caused Rias to relent, so very few students had the luxury of Akano's breasts set into their mind. Unfortunately, none of them got pictures. Zenobia was usually asked about sex in the one, and that was because students remembered when she bought condoms to class that one day earlier in the year. They would also cup a feel of her as when asked by couples. Azia had similar treatment, but even worse was that Akia barely talked to her. She would mistake Akia's perverted comments of her getting the on as jokes, very unaware that they were insults to her sleeping around Kiba, and Gasper would usually get solemn looks and a rare apology, which would also confuse the two, but they made note of asking Rosvisa about what happened. If they weren't so busy handling repairs, Irina was treated fairly as the same as before, but would ignore others. She usually a loner, some with Konako, but no one really considered her as a mascot anymore. "Enjoying yourself, Kijachu?" Sabaki says, entering the office. Knowing Sona long enough, she had never never seen her president so relaxed. Just enjoying the day. I have finals. You made Irina handle the paperwork for now. The grammar girls is considered easy lays, or easy by some of the student body. Rias complains about having to pay for damages done to her building. I don't think she realizes that the money is that Issei left them. Plus, they will have to pay for college next year. Zytodius is not giving her nor any of the free rides, Sona says. I suppose that's true. It also means that Irina's words have helped to not affect the lifestyles of Kiba and Gasper. Tsubaki says, yeah, that's true. She hasn't caused you any trouble then, has she? Sona says, nope, she's quite obedient, Tsubaki replied. Pity. Now I wish we could have her earlier in the year. Would have made the paperwork a little easier. I didn't think you were one to take things easy, Couch, Tsubaki says. I suppose you're right. I wonder what problem Rias will complain about now, Sona says. She might not be going to you about that, Tsubaki says. Do you know something? Sona replied, yes. I believe Rias is going to confront Irina in the courtyard, since she believes Irina is still part of her club and should know why their school life has changed. Really? She must be mad about how no one worships her, and because students like breakfast at the club. She probably thinks that Irina would have watched over it, Sona says. Well, I suggest we get to the courtyard, Tsubaki says. She's confronting her already? I thought she would do more planning, or maybe not attract as much attention. As if to answer her question, they heard the screech of Irina from outside, and President and Vice President looked out the window. They could see Rias marching up towards Irina with Akeno by her side. It seemed that Zenobia was holding on to Irina to prevent her from escaping, and Ozzy was trying to calm the struggling angel, and Konako stood next to the excommunicated nun. Students were beginning to gather around, but kept their distance due to Rias' violent attitude. You're right, let's go, Sona says. Tsubaki was a bit stunned, since she never usually hears Sona curse before, and she used a lot of changes in Sona's attitude. Prior to the screech, while Sona and Tsubaki were talking, some of the students were fascinated by the pink-haired woman that walked down their halls. She wore a black blouse and ripped jeans with black Carver shoes. It didn't take long for someone to look at her, but turn away because of her stern gaze. Lighting can hear the mention to them about being related to someone named Karase. She didn't know who that was. She finally reached the classroom that she was looking for and knocked, and that's when Ross Vice's voice allowing her to enter, and she did. Can I help you? Are you a new student? Ross Vice said. She remained of the sense of the power that came from this woman. How did she get past Sona and Rias? You don't know who I am, but I know who you are. Your grandmother has told me a lot about you, and yes, I know what you did, Lightning says. Rosvice frowned. She was aware that the factions knew about the infidelities she had, and yet to Kiba and Gasper. That was due to her preparing tests for the students' finals. Before you answer, I'm on your side. I know you were drugged. That's not why I'm here. Honestly, I came to scout your Parage member, Kiba Yoto, Lightning said. What do you need him for? Rosvice replied. To face him in a duel for Graham. I will need the blade, Lightning said. For what? Getting defensive. It's already bad enough that we have a raiding game coming up. I heard about that, and no, I intend for our duel to be after your raiding game, and also here, handing over the flash drive, I've taped some of my training sessions with Bielther, so he's aware of who he is facing, Lightning said. Brynhilde, you trained under her. She was impressed, as it was not often that Brynhilde takes interest in someone, but this woman did not feel like a Valkyrie. She was like a human, but different. Yes, I probably should tell you that I am not from here, and by here, I mean your world. From what I was told, an old enemy of ours, Rezavim, I think that was his name, he got greedy and wanted to rule other worlds, so he sent the evil dragons, which caused a rift and allowed to be opened, and I was pulled by the goddess Etro to be her Valkyrie in Valhalla, Lightning said. Amazing. I know Valhalla is where those that are slain in battle go, Rosvices says. That's what I hear. By the way, your grandmother sends her regards, and for your information, the people of Asgard are on your side as well, Lightning says. Her eyes welled up and she fought back tears. A part of it was expecting them to treat her like school was treating the girls. I don't know what to say, Rosvices says. Well, to me, now that I have seen you, you certainly don't look like someone to cheat willingly. And yes, I saw his memories, personally. I think you should stay away from him for a little while, because that was the last time he saw you, on your knees and on your back. It made Rosvice wince. Oh, sorry I had to be crude. It was my first time seeing you as well. I see, you haven't met Issei-kun yet. No, despite his perversion, he seems like a reasonable soldier, but reckless. Reminds me of my sister's fiance, Lightning said. You had a sister? I had a sister. Oh, I'm sorry about your loss. If I may ask, if you're not from the other world, what do you do for Asgard? Currently, I am your former position as Odin's bodyguard. Probably why I can overlook Issei's perversion, though I am curious, what did Odin tease you? Because for me, it was about never taking my armor off, so he couldn't judge the size of my breast, and you seem to have plenty. So it does make me wonder what he teased you for. Oh, was that never finding a boyfriend because I was always trying to be professional, Respicer said. I get that sometimes too, but due to my military background, it's to be expected. Romance was more of my sister's thing. If I may ask, what was... She was interrupted by Rias' shriek. Oh no, what now? Getting up from her desk to leave the room. Trouble? Lightning says, moving out from Rosweise and following her. Most likely, Rosweise said. In the courtyard, Rias trotted towards Irina, who was telling Zinovia to let go. And Ozzy was saying how they just wanted to talk, with Konako nodding in agreement. Irina, what happened while we were gone? Where have you been? Rias said. Irina said nothing. She turned her attention from Zinovia to Rias and just stared. Well, are you going to say something? Rias said. We should know probably to do at this club. Rias, there's too many eyes here, Akeno said, whispering towards Rias. I know, but we have to know why things changed, and Sona doesn't seem to be much help right now, Rias said, whispering back. Akeno gave a nod as she understood. Sona didn't seem to care much about their problems. Add on to the embarrassment of having her breast be seen, she really wished she wore a bra yesterday because... Now a few people think that she goes commando. It's already bad enough that they are rumored to have slept with two perverts, which she didn't know where was from they never interacted with them. Well, Rias says, turning back to Irina, our club has been ransacked and you weren't there. Do you have any idea who did it? No, but for what it's worth, the club deserved it, Irina said. Deserved it, Rias said, getting in Irina's face. For what? For the damage we've done to others, Irina says. What damage? Shoving Irina back. I never hurt anybody, Rias says. Some students in the crowd grimaced at that statement and winced. And Irina winced. But you did. Her voice was a whisper, but Rias could hear her, thanks to her devil hearing. There was some gasp from the small crowd as Irina's head was turned to her right. A handprint could be seen, and Rias' arm could be seen stretched out. I don't know where you heard that, but this defamation has gone on long enough. Right now, the only person that I have hurt is you, and frankly, I'm not sorry about that. Maybe you should apologize for your slander. It gives me reason to believe you did all of this. Before she whispered in Irina's ear, some angel you are. You're right. I already failed at that, Irina says. It was not the answer that Rias was expecting. Rias' eyes widened a little, but she remained calm and kept her glare. So you admit it. You did all of this. Caused the rumors, damaged the RC building, slandering our reputation. Huh? Rias said. You did that yourself, Irina replied. Well then, don't bother coming back to the club. Irina-san, just apologize. Please, you're my friend. I don't want to see you go, Azia said. If you paid any attention, I resigned from that a while ago. The reason for me being there is no longer there, but I stupidly listened to the ones I called friends, and should have stuck to my faith, Irina said. Faith? Puh! Scoffing at Irina, Rias did. Did your faith tell you to slander other people? It's already bad enough that some people think we those two perverts. Maybe you're jealous that Volley likes us better, smirking at Irina, with Akeno smirking as well as then leaning to Irina's ear, or jealous that Kiba enjoys Zinovia more than you. It made Zinovia smirk a little, and she let go of Irina's, folded her arms across her chest. Guess it can't be helped that I'm better than you, huh, Irina? Zinovia said. No, it's just bad that I stooped to your level. My only mistake was ever looking up to you, thus listening to you. And then I wouldn't have done some of the choices that I did, and I definitely have a happier life than you. Then turning her attention back to Rias, any of you, Irina said. Zinovia felt a small pang in her heart when Irina said that. I doubt that, Rias says, turning to Akeno. Guess this is what happens when parents raise a delusional child. Maybe that's why they sent her away. The comment made Akeno and Rias giggle. Even Zinovia stifled a laughter. And she knew sometimes Irina could get lost in her own world. Azia turned away, while Konako smirked to chuckle herself. Unfortunately, none of them were paying attention as if Irina's first swung and made contact with Rias' node. Ah! Rias said as she hit the ground, writhing in pain. Rias, Akano says, kneeling down to her injury. Oni-sama, Azia said. Irina, grabbing Irina's outstretched arm and Konako grabbing her leg, Zenovia did. Insult me all you want, but don't you dare bring my parents into this. They may be disappointed by my actions, but I'm sure yours are devastated by yours, Irina said. Rias gritted her teeth, clenching her nose. There were some small cheers for Irina by some of the crowd's students as well, which did not suit Rias either. You bitch, Rias says. That's enough, Sona replied, making her presence known as she entered the fray. You two, addressing Zenovia and Konako, let her go and help your president back to your clubhouse. Irina Hyoudou, come with me to the student council's office, Sona said. There were some protests by some of the students saying how Rias initiated the skirmish and threw the first slap. However, Sona was having none of it and told them to go home, since it was the end of the day. This isn't over, Rias said. No, Rias, it is, Sona says, sparing a side glance at her Paraj, escorted Irina to the student council office. I just hope you're prepared for what comes next, Sona says. It made all the Gremory girls, except Rosfaisa, stiffen at those words, felt foreboding. Ria shivered slightly at her anger dissipated, trying to understand Sona's word, not wanting a fight. They helped Rias to the ORC, where Kiba and Gasper were making repairs. We should go to the student council, Rosfaisa. As the crowd was whispering, you're not going to help your mistress, Lightning said. I don't think she'll be my mistress for long, Rosfaisa said. How did you end up with her anyways? Odin-sama left me a faction meeting, and I had nowhere else to go besides Hyoudou Mansion. Rias then provided me with benefits of joining her parade, despite as she asked, her family are good people, so I joined. As the two followed the student council, I see, considering her brother's king of the demons is their leader, Lightning said. You met him, Rosfaisa replied. Somewhat. There was a meeting to decide what to do with all of you, Lightning said. Is that where the raiding game was decided? Rosfaisa replied. Who told you that? Lightning said. Sona did last week. Is that all she told you? Yes. Did I open my mouth a little too early about your banishment? Lightning said. It's fine. I expected something like that. But I am grateful to those people of Asgard, believe in me, Rosfaisa says. Anyway, who is that girl? I know she is one of them that betrayed him, but who is she exactly? Irina? She's Issei's childhood best friend. She also once promised to be his guardian angel, but as you can see, she failed. She looked up to Zenovia, the blue-haired girl with green streak, and thus wound up listening to her to follow through with developing a crush with Kiba. I currently live with Kiba. He had to play nice because Rias threatened Tosaka, a friend of Kiba's. It seemed Irina was unaware of the threat. So all the times that she thought that Kiba was liking her were false. He only did that to protect his friend, but still betrayed his best friend in the process. Guess she sadly realized it too late, Lightning said. Yes. She's even gone out of her way to defend Kiba-kun and Gasper-kun's reputation by stating that they were not involved in the infidelity despite being club members. Seeking some repentance, huh? Lightning said. Maybe she's already branded herself, hence the bandages on her left arm, Rosfaisa says. At least she is acknowledging her mistakes. I don't know Issei well enough to hate her, but I definitely don't like your mistress. She seems so spoiled, Rosfaisa says. Yeah, her brother apologized about that in the meeting. Guess that spoiled attitude has gotten the best of her. Indeed, Rosfaisa says. And this is where they confront them at the ORC clubhouse.